Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome, everybody, to our podcast, Can We Be Friends? My name is Gage Morrow.
And my name is Mike Massaro.
And I just had a couple sips of this wine, but I'm already getting lit because I'm a lightweight. How you been, Mike?
Pretty good. Busy, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, aren't we all, man?
Been a weird week.
Yeah, I heard Connecticut's opening back up, COVID-wise. Yeah, the 19th of March coming up. Yeah, we're supposed to be having restaurants at full capacity.
It's about fucking time a year later.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been literally a year since we've been shut down and everything, but
since we've been locked in our homes.
I think it's an interesting time to reflect too. It's been a year. How's your year been? What's shutdown done for you?
Honestly, overall, it was kind of good. Weirdly to say, I feel shitty saying that, but my year was solidly decent. Over the course of this year, I committed to actually pursuing stand up, and you know what I mean. I've been regularly writing and going to mics, and honestly just living with a sense of more purpose than I have been for a great while. So yeah, I really can't complain. I don't know, I kind of took the opportunity working from home early on during this thing to work from home and definitely not work on other things all day.
Awesome.
Just check. But you know, in all seriousness,
cut
though,
out of our last episode, by the way, the whole last episode, I was a little elevated.
Yeah.
So half of my head was cut out of the shot the whole time.
Oh, dude, I was noticing on the last episode, half my face the entire time was covered by this thing.
Yeah, it's a little annoying sometimes.
Yeah, it is what it is. We'll figure it out.
It's just covering more of this beard.
Yeah, I know. There's really not much.
So, you found what was important to you.
Yes.
During COVID.
Yes. And,
I think that's a running theme too.
Yeah, cleaned up my act a little bit. It's been
not your room. Let me tell you, this guy needs to do laundry.
That is fair. I every piece of clothing I own is on that floor right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have this system, and I made a joke about it to my coworker today, and she didn't believe me. I was like, yeah, I found a dryer sheet on the ground, and I was like, someone had a dryer sheet fall off their clothes, and I smelled it, and I was like, it's not my dryer sheet. That's weird. And she was like, well, yeah, I guess. And I was like, I guess having a dryer sheet fall off your clothes doesn't really mean you're dirty or anything. And I was like, well, I mean, it could mean that you didn't wash your clothes this week, so you just threw them in the dryer for 25 minutes before work so they don't look wrinkled and they smell good. And she just goes, what? And I was like, what?
I certainly have never done that, but it's an interesting tip. No, noted. No, my work schedule is so consistent and it's so short. And I always wear my work clothes always get dirty because I work in a factory. Mm-hmm. So I just separate those at the end. This is riveting content. Laundry. That's
Jesus Christ.
No, but
we just ate a massive dinner. So
oh, dude, I am zonked, bro. Mike was such a kind Italian boy. It made me and him a steak for when I showed up, and it was chef kiss, beautiful, wonderful, tasty, delicious. It was so good. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Such an Italian thing to do is cook for people. I wish my people. I don't even know what my people are, but I wish my people did more. I don't remember ever having consistent family dinners though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we did a lot.
When I think of what I want for my kids, that's one of the things I want for my kids is
family dinners.
Yeah, man. I feel there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people who've had family dinners, and then there's broken people. You know what I mean?
Some of us who've had family dinners are still broken people.
I know, but I'm saying it's you can be both. It's every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So every rose has its thorn and such.
Yes. No, but I don't know. I feel people who don't have family dinners are ultimately always prone to be broken.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I think it's a very lovely thing to do. But I guess it's also a privilege too. To have parents that aren't working all I was a latchkey kid. So I came home from I went to a magnet school, so I would come home pretty late. So I would just be if there was something made, it was still in the fridge as leftovers, or I would my hat's on still. That's why I'm warm. I was like, why is it so toasty in here? Excuse me. Since you've seen me last, I've gotten a haircut, and I love it. I love touching my head now.
I feel we should move the "Don't Tread on Me" flag from behind you because I feel it gives you a weird vibe.
They will not replace us. No,
Jesus
just
Christ.
I said they. I'm very. Trans people will not replace me. Gender non-conforming individuals. But yeah, COVID's been pretty good for me to kind of. I mean, I was still working because I work in a factory and we make all like the essential paper, which I guess manufacturing stayed essential from the jump, anyways.
Yeah.
But I paid off my private debt and now I just have my federal debt. And thanks to COVID, I'm actually profiting off of COVID. Not like a PPP scandal, like loan
We're
fraud or
talking
anything
like
like that.
Walmart level profiting off of
No,
COVID?
I mean like the CARES Act means that I don't have to pay. I don't have to pay interest rate on federally underpinned loans. So my subsidized and unsubsidized loans through the Fed are all interest free
Yep.
for
Yeah.
what was from March to like December of last year and has now been extended through September of this year.
Wait, did it get extended through September?
Through September.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, September
I'm gonna
30th.
actually start making payments because I've been slacking.
Ooh.
I took that reprieve as basically just a time to pretend I was saving money.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, here's the thing, right? I paid off my private student debt, and now because of this, I've done the math, and I might not have to pay interest again on my debt. Like, I might,
Damn.
with what I get paid, I might be able to pay off the rest of my Fed debt by the time it starts accruing. And I just didn't pay anything towards the Fed debt because I had private debt that was still accruing interest, so I
Yeah.
prioritized that.
Makes
Because
sense.
I did, my like taxes and my bonus at work, I was able to pay it off, and I just got my stimulus check, which I never didn't get last year.
There you
It
go.
was like a little surprise. I was like, "Fuck yeah, thanks, Uncle Joey." So whatever.
Good
But
stuff.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I also have found more purpose during the COVID lockdown. I've like really focused on writing and
Mhm.
doing better at stand up because now I appreciate it now that it's gone. You know, like you don't know what you got till it's gone. Hey, hey, paradise.
The wise words of Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, it
kind
really
of
does focus.
paraphrased words of Joni Mitchell.
I think COVID's been like a wake up call for everyone. It's like it starts with, do you want to live here? You know what I mean? Think about like L.A.,
Yeah.
New York. It's like, what are you paying for? Are you getting what you're paying for? Is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like,
When you strip away all the distractions.
yeah,
Is
exactly. When it used to be that your life is so busy, you could just distract yourself from your reality. But then if like your reality is not there anymore, you only have your
Yeah.
environment.
New dinner, new drinks, new friends every night.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope this has been a wake up call for especially people in colleges paying this a ridiculous price for what is now DeVry University.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what university you go to, now it's all online school.
But you know what? Like even some of the best professors at these like really good institutions don't know how to use the fucking computer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're even more useless than like
Yeah.
what was oh man. There's a story I wanted to tell you for this.
It's all right. You can, I'll vamp for you. But, like, during COVID and shit, it's like, it was literally like at my lowest point that I discovered stand up, even before COVID, back in October of 2019. And then after that, like when it was taken away from me, it made me realize how much I really wanted it and how much I wanted this to be my life. And I've really decided that like stand up is my career path. Like stand up content creation, like I want to make
Writing,
my
yeah.
career here, like in the creative space. I want to be
Yeah.
a performer. And I feel like I had so many signals from when I was a young kid that I wanted to be a performer, but I never gave into those. I
Yeah.
saw that as like a personality trait. Like, oh,
Mhm,
Gage
yes.
is just a quorky kid,
Yeah.
but he's the smart kid, so he's going
Exactly.
to pursue sciences.
I felt the same way, and
Might top me off, brother.
absolutely, and
Thanks,
we
brother.
sort of talked. Hold on, I'm gonna move. 'Cause
It's all right.
Yeah. And this is something
Yeah.
that we sort of talked about just before about like the sort of directionality. I'm just gonna polish this off.
No
here.
worries. Thanks, brother bear.
Of course, and is one of the things we talk about, like the sort of directionality of like being younger and being told sort of like this is the path you're going to take because oh look how well you do in school, look at like look at how you're doing this.
If it's important, it's all right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a random number, so it's probably not important. But the
Mr.
call
Scam
I'm
likely.
expecting, yeah, so I don't give a shit. They'll text me if it's important,
Yeah.
and and so we what's it called? You do well in school. You're so like you're such a good writer. You should go into law. You should go into doing this professional discipline, and like
because it'd be really embarrassing if I'm not. Oh yeah, I am. Cool.
that's good.
I always check because it's like I'm my own producer. Like I make sure that technologically
going
speaking
on
everything's going. So
the
like it would
middle
be
of
really
the-
embarrassing if we're not recording during a deep talk. But yeah, so from a young child's perspective, you're being told what to do, where to be.
Yeah, and that's sort of a you know, and maybe not even in a sort of you know, like being dictated, but more so just a, you know, a goading, you know, like, hey, go here, like do this, try this, and it's just like, okay, like this works until it doesn't, right? And that was sort of a big realization for me, was like it was working fine through college until I hit a wall of like this sort of professionalized office academia life is driving me fucking crazy. Like and it's not only that, it's making me very unproductive,
Yeah.
um and I was still getting A's and shit like that, so it was hard to justify walking away from that. But you know, then you find some actual purpose. Then you find like you do something and you feel that reward mechanism in your brain that like you've sort of dulled over the last 4 or 5 years through various abuses of those pathways, and you get to a point where you're like, oh, this is like, it's possible to like to like have a sense of purpose and to get this from just life, and that was what stand up was, and writing is for me, is like, so both comedy writing and, you know, just like writing in general, then performing, there's nothing like it, like, and at least for me, and I'm
Certainly.
sure for you as well. And
Yeah, I mean, even I told this. I was with Austin Apostle, fellow comic in the Connecticut scene. Shout out Austin Apostle. And I was telling him like the when I realized that stand up was exactly what I wanted to do with my life was when you bomb, because bombing is the worst you could possibly do at stand up, and at the worst, it still felt better than the best of any other thing in my life.
yep, and it gives you like, for me, it's like after the getting over the sting of like public failure, like for me, it became like this drive.
Oh yeah.
It's like you bomb and you go down and you're just like, and that sort of that fire of embarrassment in your face, the flushness, is just becomes like this passion that you're using to fix whatever the fuck just happened, and
Yeah. I mean,
and to rewrite shit and listen to the recording and
yep.
go
And see
back
where
and,
you failed, and
yeah,
especially if it was going good and then you like lost it, or if you were doing bad and then you brought it back.
yeah, that's the
It's
best
all
feeling.
like research study. Like comics in general are such neurotic individuals. We're so like self-obsessed and like self-reflective in sometimes the worst of ways, but I think it bodes well for like the other aspects of your life, because it helps you churn over and really study yourself. Like very rarely do people actually listen to themselves speak. And you know, in its most basic form, stand up is like public speaking, and that's one of like the top 5 fears of like the general public, you know,
Yeah.
at least in these states. I don't know if there's like cultural differences like in more Eastern cultures, but
Yeah, I mean, stand up is like pretty much like, it's truly an American art form. You know,
oh
we've
yeah,
talked
it's
about
like
that. Like,
jazz, you
yeah,
know, or
but
like race. I mean, what? Yeah, like
but
jazz.
but I think that one of the things that is really cool about this is like discovering a passion for it, you know, and being this early on in the process, you know, like at a year in, each of us, you know what I mean, knowing that this is what we're going to dedicate our energy and our focus and our time and attention to, is I'm just excited for, like, you know, that growth, because I've seen the growth in myself over this time, and I know there's going to be plateaus and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and you know, but I'm looking forward to the challenge. Like it's a this is the first time I've looked at like a 5, 10, you know, long term plan
Yeah.
of like my life and been excited about what comes next, like, as opposed to, you know,
No, yeah, I mean,
more
a lot of
school.
stuff before. It's crazy, and I know like people at home listening will also like will empathize with this feeling, but I remember at a very young age, I always had this nagging feeling that I don't understand what my life's purpose is,
Mm.
but I had confidence that my adult self would guide me through that. Like at age 13, I thought, I don't know what I'm doing with myself, but I trust that 20-year-old Gage will know what to do with his self.
Yeah.
And so it just keeps going that way. You keep passing it along to your future self. Like, future Mike will figure this out. Future
Yep.
Gage will figure this out.
It's a
And
dangerous game.
you arrive at the future of the age that you set, and you realize you still haven't gotten it figured out. And so that's why I love Nietzsche. Like Friedrich Nietzsche, my favorite quote from him is, "A man with a why can burden almost anyhow," which is like my life's motto. Which is to say that because he was also the person who said God is dead, there is no meaning to life, there is no purpose, there's no path to walk, that we create our own meaning. You know, that humans are, in our intellect, create meaning in this life, that there is no ordained or divine purpose granted to us by birth, that we are just hapless carbon-based life forms roaming the earth, and to expect purpose to be divine to us. That's why, like, religion is so popular, because it is a pre-written scripture of what you should do with your life. It offers structure, it offers purpose, it offers rules. Like, we love structure, and we love knowing that if we walk a certain path, we get rewarded with an afterlife.
Yeah, I definitely think that those are both opposite ends of the spectrum, but I think that the truth is somewhere probably a little more in between that. And I think that, you know, like, and I've gotten a lot of this from both, like, you know, just my experience with talking to people, and then also, you know, experience with in the past with like psychedelic drugs and stuff like that.
I have not yet tried, but I'm sure I will discover a whole new chapter.
Yeah.
Myself with that shit.
So once I experienced some of that stuff, that, you know, the idea of like nihilism was completely gone. Even optimistic nihilism, I sort of have moved past, because I don't think it reflects the world we live in.
Optimistic nihilism?
That optimistic nihilism, sort of like that, like, yeah, there's no meaning in this life, but we get to create it. Like, and that
philosophy, but
yeah.
I don't know what the name of it
I
was.
mean, like, it's just, that's a name I'd give to it. I don't know if that's an official name or not.
That
I think
is, now that I'm thinking about it, it might be what Nietzsche called that.
Yeah, but I think that, like, I think that reducing the world to that is crazy, because, you know, when you're with someone and you're having like a real moment, you're having an in-depth conversation, you feel the connection. You know, it's not just an intellectual connection. There's something more that you're picking up on, not just reading each other's body language, but like we have 5 senses, right? Like, I think there's a lot more layered into reality that we're not able to really totally perceive. I think we can sort of tune into it, understand it a little bit. That's what vibes, I think, are, right? Like, you know, just that feeling you get, that sixth sense. Like, but that I think there's something more in terms of, like, when it comes to finding that purpose and finding that path, you're making decisions and habituating action that's leading you closer to being in tune with that energy, that vibration, that, like, you're. And I don't mean, you know, we can go into the fucking. There's a whole CIA paper that I was reading about
you're saying some hot words that really CIA papers. I like this.
So I want to get into this. So there's this CIA paper about basically like specific types of transcendental meditation, and I'm gonna botch this because you know what, I'm gonna pull up the article.
You know, while you're pulling it up, I'd like to bring up that the CIA. You know, I was listening to an interview with a former CIA agent. Now, you obviously have to take this with a grain of salt, because, you know, you got to speak on behalf of the agency, and you have to be able to, you know, defend their behaviors. But I know the CIA is a relatively progressive sect of the government, because it experiments with, and it was part of, like, the MK Ultra programs and things like that, and they had to embed themselves.
Charles Manson.
Yeah, they had to embed themselves with hippies to, like, really, like, create a hippie commune, to, like, create a little, like, psychological experiment locale, so that they could experiment on human behavior and shit like that. So I know they have, like, a history of pursuing what is, like, the cutting edge of culture and things like that, but it's strange. It's like, when there's new cultural phenomena, CIA is always around the corner to study how it's going to affect the government and, like, destabilizing the country.
Exactly. So with the, actually, before I get into this, do you mind checking to make sure my mic's still on? Because I just moved it a little bit.
You should be fine.
I know that we've had some issues with the plug on this one before.
Can you check?
Yep. Test.
Yep.
All right. Perfect.
Welcome to the technical podcast.
Yeah. Right. Twice now.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. So this. So actually, and I hate that this is like the article I'm going to reference, because it's a really distilled version of it, but Vice did like like last month did a decent summary of this. They obviously were late to the party here, but there was this whole thing called like Gateway Research, basically, back in like the 50s. This radio broadcasting guy, like produces evidence basically through repeated experiments that specific sound waves and patterns have an effect on the human being. So this is like if you go online and YouTube like meditation videos and stuff, you know, some of them will have like, you know, 1080 hertz, like blah 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 blah, blah, and binaural beats. That's what this is.
I was really into binaural in middle school.
Yeah,
I thought I could reach an elevated form of humanity if I listened to binaural beats.
Turns out the CIA thought the same thing, and they ran a lot of experiments about it. So Monroe, this guy who comes up with it, and again, all this is distilled in. I want to give the author credit, Thoby Campion, Vice article, "How to Escape the Confines of Space and Time According to the CIA." I will give you the name of the actual document, and we'll link it in the video as well.
Certainly. Just keeping the track of the time. It's 5:02 right now, just so you know.
All right, so we got a little bit of time. That's perfect. So Monroe basically forms his R&D division inside like the radio program. It says here, and he's studying this, and he sort of becomes obsessed with like hypnosis and stuff like that. And then he starts like, you know, playing more and more with different frequencies and like seeing how they affect like what goes on in people's minds and mapping everything out. And then he starts talking about like what's it called? He talks about an out of body experience. And in 1971, he publishes this thing. This is what it says, and that's when like becomes a little popularized. So where the CIA gets into this is there's he in 1975 he gets like these patients, right? And it says here that he finds the frequency that can basically, when played at certain levels in each ear, can make the right hemisphere of the brain and the left hemisphere of the brain vibrate at the same, wavelength.
Trippy. But what does that mean?
So what that means is it. So okay, here's where it gets really crazy. So
it's starting to get crazy now.
Yeah. Bless you.
Bless me.
So this Army veteran gets involved, and with the CIA, they basically publish this program and this research paper about so space-time, as we know, so they have this diagram of space-time, right? It's like a curvature, and this gets so nuts, and I'm not a physicist.
Right now, just so you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll step in with my math and science
education. I would love to. So, because I'm not a math and science guy, this is just what I've read in this paper. So basically, what he was saying is that like Earth and like the whole of the like mass in the atmosphere, it vibrates at like there's this certain pitch or something that like the energy vibrates at, right?
It's okay. Keep going.
Does this make sense?
It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. As long as you make it sound interesting. So
okay,
you have a certain frequency to.
So basically, as you know, everything matter is just energy condensed, right?
Facts.
Energy is just waves that vibrate at a certain frequency. So it's all that matter is just
energy equals
exactly
mass times the speed of light squared.
Yeah. So here's the thing: all of this, like this desk, these wine glasses, this typewriter here, like all of this shit, even us, like is just energy that is condensed into a state and an association within the confines of this like space-time of the physical universe that we exist in, that makes it observable to us, like this long extended hallucination, basically. Because
that's the name of your memoir.
Yeah, long extended hallucination. Because like if I'm looking at you, all of the cells that make up your skin and your face and everything like that are made up of atoms of substances, of chemicals, minerals, and all these other things that are dynamically interacting with each other to form life. But I'm seeing a man's head.
A simp. What I'm seeing is a pussy. It's just like an extended insult.
Yeah, like all of that is just a level of association and of perception, right? That is unique to us as human beings with these bodies and these eyes. And this design, this association of particles.
So where does the CIA step in?
So what the CIA measures, this guy measures, is he finds this resonance at which the universe and matter and space time itself vibrate, right? And it's a specific pitch. He manages to take that pitch and buzz it into people's heads. So the right and left sides of their brains vibrate at that same pitch as everything else in sync with it. he then develops a theory, basically, along with these military people, that basically, because space time is so it's based on two things, right? There's some sort of refraction thing with the waves and the particles, where basically when it's vibrating, it hits something, it hits a boundary, and then there's like a split second refractory period where it's sort of like is rebounding, right? Like it slips out and comes back with equal and opposite reaction, right?
Gotcha.
So what they theorize is that if you can make, they theorize basically that the body and the brain are an antenna for consciousness, right?
Okay.
And for like and for this sort of conscious energy that exists outside the bounds of space and time. So what they say is, if that's the case, and we can make the brain vibrate at that same thing, practiced and disciplined practitioners, I shouldn't have said practice first, now I sound like a retard.
It's all
I'm
right.
sorry, a stupid person. I did not mean to say that. I have a great deal of love and respect for the
Careful,
mentally
Massaro.
handicapped community.
Careful, Massaro.
Was that proper?
We're canceled. Thanks
Done.
for watching.
It's
Can We Be
over.
Friends?
Yeah.
It took us 3 episodes and 5 minutes to break up this whole institution.
On the next episode, you're going to watch me wake up drunk and hang myself in front of everybody.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
YouTube
Maybe.
monetization program.
We'll see.
No.
If I get 1,000 views.
1,000 likes and I'll fucking hang myself, bro.
I'm just kidding. That's not
Watch
true.
this Amazon haul.
Yeah.
I got sleeping pills and rope.
I'll do it for free. No, but
I will sell this video as an NFT of him hanging himself for 5 Ethereum.
We're gonna
Bidding
put-
starts at 5 Ethereum.
we're going to put the live leak description of my death in the comment section.
I will sell. No, just kidding. So what's
yeah.
the results of this? What did the CIA conclude? So he was trying to
Oh,
mimic.
okay. So basically, what they said is, if you can make the brain vibrate at the same wave as like the observable physical universe and matter itself, right? If you can do that, then when it hits the refractory point and it slips outside the bounds of space and time, a dedicated practitioner of like that meditative process will be able to sort of sit consciously in that moment outside of space and time, as long as they're able to maintain it. So what they started doing was this thing called remote viewing. And the CIA ran this remote
Sounds like
viewing
Men Who
program.
Stare at Goats kinda shit.
It is Men Who Stare at Goats, and it's
Starring George Clooney.
it's a lot like what's
You're
the
so Italian, by
not
the
Mission
way.
Impossible, the
You're so
the
snappy,
horse.
you Italian motherfucker.
Yeah,
You wop bastard.
Greasy Dago. Yeah, no.
I love saying slurs that are for white people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like when people are like, "Oh, white people like honky or whatever," but it's like there's so many like ethnic white slurs that you can use that like
Patty,
no one gives a shit about anymore
Mick.
because it's not 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when people
Polak.
and when Irish people or like
Shout out
white
to
people
Andy, my
with,
favorite
like,
Polak.
when like Irish people like or white people with Irish descendants where they're like, "Well, you know, we were discriminated against too." It's like, bro, it's not the 40s anymore. Fucking
Someone
chill
yelled at me at
out.
work for using the word patty
Yeah, like-
once when I was at the package store. He's like, it's really offensive to Irish people. And I was like, all right, you Mick. He's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you going to do? I'm not going to get fired for calling you a Mick.
Yeah,
Like-
return all 40 bottles of your scotch, you drunk bastard. Stop
Yeah,
perpetuating
literally.
stereotypes. And also to all Irish listeners, I don't care about your feelings.
Yeah,
Suppress it like the Catholic Church told you to, you fucking idiot.
I just wish we released this on St. Patrick's Day.
Well,
That's
we are
the
recording it on...
day after St. Patrick's Day. We
fuck,
just
I've lost
missed
track
it.
of time. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Isn't Joe Biden Irish?
I don't fucking know.
Is he Irish
probably.
Catholic?
His middle name is Robinette. Robinette.
I was going to say, is he...
Robinette, like Rocket, or like any of those other.
Follow it down. All right, so we're talking about
Yeah.
the Radio City Hall. How is it
Yep.
connected? How is it
Oh,
connected?
radio waves! Radio waves are back.
And
So-
back to reality.
So,
But I was just
so remote viewing.
Okay.
Sorry, I want to finish this part up. So
No,
they started doing was they had this whole program, and the CIA is training all these people to just meditate and sit and fucking
Savage.
like these like all these baths and shit like that, and like just getting this out of body thing, so they could have their consciousness slip out of existence, and basically and because of the way space and time is, right, the whole idea of like space and time isn't linear, it's curved like this.
Okay.
So if you're on the outside of it, because it's not linear and it's all sort of like you can observe past, present, or future,
Okay.
because technically it's all happened already.
This is where you're starting to lose me. Now,
So-
I think what you're talking about is time is cyclical, being that every moment that we experience is a point on a matrix that exists in and of itself, that this moment lives perpetually in the space-time continuum fabric.
Yes.
And
every moment that has ever happened or ever will happen also exists in that way.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting about it is that, like, it sort of begs the question of determinism versus free will.
I actually want to
because if the future already exists, then how do we know whether it's determined or not? And this is where I think the antenna thing comes in, and the habituation aspect of the meditation comes in, because I think, just like Aristotle observed, all action is habituated, first of all, and second of all is somewhere on the spectrum between two vices and a virtue in the middle.
Got you.
Yeah. We're all on the spectrum.
Yeah, but Aristotle touched boys. What does he know?
Well, so like Socrates touched the boys. Donald Glover taught me that.
Well, that is an interesting thing, and I wanted to broach this topic of determinism as well.
Yeah.
Because it leads right back to our discussion of narcissistic parents. And if you have narcissistic parents, see, I view things through a probability graph, right? So, for instance, an electron, as we're taught in school, if you look at the diagram of an atom, you have the protons and the neutrons as the nucleus, and then the electron path around it, right?
Yes.
So what I learned in school is that there is no electron path. That electrons aren't...
Yes.
It's an electron cloud of probability.
Mm-hmm. And it's either here or here
exactly.
or here or here.
And because of the Bose-Einstein... Not... I'm a little
Higgs.
tipsy. Not Higgs boson. Sorry, let me continue. It's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which states that we can know the location of I'm losing myself here, but of a wave particle. We're just, you know what? No one's going to fact check us. So let me just say, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
Mike and Gauge physics. Here we go, guys. Welcome to our universe.
Particle location. You can know its location or its velocity. You can't know both.
Yes.
So you can know its vector, which is its velocity and direction. Or you can know its location, and so that's what an electron actually lives in a cloud of probability. Excuse my ass. And you could probably know where it is due to probability. And there's a low probability that it's a certain area and a very high probability. Let's think of it like a probability curve. So the way I think of things in life, you ever seen that movie? It's a real shit movie, but I like the idea of the Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon.
Yes, yeah.
So I really like that idea that there's this like cabal of people who I see. I'll give you two perspectives.
I mean, there is. It's just real people in real life.
But here's my two perspectives, right?
Oh, that sounded weird.
No, it's okay. The Jews obviously control everything. They control media. They control. No, just kidding. The banks.
Yeah, it's just rich people.
Just kidding. I love
it's just rich people.
They are the chosen people. I mean, if you survive that much persecution over the history of your religion, I mean, you must be chosen. Not for the right reasons, but certainly chosen people. But
there's a reason I almost chose it.
No, facts. I wanted to convert too, just to get back at my mom for being Catholic and opposing her religion on me. No, but so here are my two perspectives, which is like the Nietzsche perspective.
Look, ma, no foreskin.
So here are my two perspectives. There's one from the Nietzsche perspective: God is dead, life is meaningless, and then like the cabal hierarchy. So there is this idea that there's a cabal of determinists who want us to live a certain way. But I think the other perspective, which is why I'm so Nietzsche heavy focused, which is that I was raised with such a manner of like narrative that was already written out for me. Like, I don't think determinism is real. I think it's our parents.
It's momentum. Well, that's the thing. Everything like in this world is momentum. From the way, like, it's so like even if you look at the way our brains carve grooves based on repeated habits, right? Yeah. That's what makes action easier and easier and easier to do. That's why addiction happens. It's why repeated shitty behaviors happen. And what like people don't realize is that that's what the idea of determinism is like you can be locked into a way of acting because you fail to change your perspective. And that's not necessarily just a failure of the individual. That can be an environmental failure because, you can be raised in a way that is so, putting blinders on you.
Because life is easier that way.
Exactly.
When the path is already written for you.
But it's not easier to be happy.
No, of course not. But what is happy, though? You know what I mean?
Contentment. Aristotle again, man. He fucking... hits the nail on the head with this virtue shit and like basic ethical shit. Like we figured this out in ancient Greece, and it's been true ever since.
They fuck boys.
Yeah, but like they had
Michael Jackson
every
also wrote
culture,
Thrillers.
every culture has shitty,
Fucked boys.
terrible
Oh,
things.
yes.
Also that, like, but as like shitty, terrible things they did. Like the Aztecs used to eat people's hearts and play soccer with their heads.
Hey, that's
fucking
racist.
like it's not. It's and like and
They only made antiquity art representing those traditions.
Yeah,
It's
and
racist for
the
you to point those out.
Mayans used to carve people up and throw them down the steps, like like that kind of like
Yeah.
the fucking the Norse, those barbarians, not even like
They established the slave trade.
not even a loaded term, literal barbarians.
Yeah.
Like that's all humanity has just a litany of sins, like a litany of terrible fucking actions against other people, because we are shitty and we're not perfect and we do things wrong a lot because we habituate bad action because this world is super imperfect. But we also have the capacity to think about a better way, an ideal, a way that things should be, the forms, right? And if we can take that knowledge and we can take that sort of striving, and this is where like religion and philosophy sort of come in more so as tools for an individual to use to read their lives and to take and say, maybe I can change the way I do this. Maybe I can change the way I do that, because this is actually having a negative impact on myself and the people around me. And, and using virtue ethics to figure out why you should do something or not do something, using ontological ethics to figure out whether there's natural rules to how things work, which I think there are. Based on physics alone. There's some sort of natural rules, and we are just matter or energy condensed, so we are also bound by the rules of physics, which means there's some sort of connection, I think, between the rules of physics and the rules of what our behavior should be. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Does that not carry over to interpersonal relationships?
Certainly. And here's the thing, that's a great point. But here's my view on determinism, which is why I lean so heavy into Nietzsche, which is that meaning ordained by a higher power, be it God, a religious institution, or your very own parents, bucking that tradition may in and of itself be your purpose. So disavowing Catholicism, and like, for instance, I don't know if I told you this, but for my confirmation, we had to write an essay about why we want to get confirmed, and I used this moment to rebel against my mom, who was forcing confirmation and Catholicism in general on me as a way to project a certain family aesthetic for us all being Catholics. Even my atheist brother, who like was a huge influence on me, like to revolt against parental powers and religious powers, he even took the devilish deal of becoming Catholic, and he just took the bribes. He took the confirmation gifts. He took the money, because he's like, it's just easier to do that, which
Absolutely.
is no judgment. He measured what's worth it and like going against the system versus getting confirmed. Anyways, in my essay, I started with, I want to be confirmed to get my mom off my back, and I used the power of the church against against my mom,
because they're not going to let you be confirmed.
Because she wielded it over my head that the Catholic Church was more than me, that it was more important than me. And so I used that authority. I like jujitsu'd my way out of confirmation by saying, because I was promised that once I get to confirmation, I can choose not to go to church or to go to church, because I hated church so much. But the reason why I lean so much into Nietzsche, that there is no purpose, that we are just purposeless creatures that create our own meaning through cognition and psychology, is that at any point you can choose, like the probability path I told you about electrons. There is a statistical probability that it's in an unlikely place. It's a very low probability. Like if the scale goes like this, I'm literally going to draw it out in the podcast. I'm going to mark this and draw it out. But there's a probability curve, and at the very bottom there is a unlikely location for it to be. But quantum physics says if I keep tapping this desk a million, billion, trillion, quadrillion times, one time my finger is going to pass through like magic.
Yes, exactly.
So here's the thing is, I want to live like my finger is going to pass through. I want to live my life like if I touch this desk even a third time, that my finger is going to pass right through.
Same.
Because it has the capability of doing so. And it would be so much more interesting of a story if I tell you that my finger went through the desk.
Exactly.
And then it's really unlikely that I can pull it back, because it took a lot to get there. So like there's a possibility that I jump out this window. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Because, and you could say, well, that's determinism. Like,
There's a possibility I throw you out this
Yeah,
window.
exactly.
I'm not going to. Yeah. I mean, like,
and so
that's, but that's where I think
like to live like there is a possibility that anything can happen, because even if I don't choose that path, the day that I choose to take that path, I want to know that I can. Because it's easy to live in that like that comfortable well of statistic probability that your life is going to go this way. But being a comedian is that little percentage. Like no one does that. I mean, because like it's so unlikely. We are far more likely to fail than succeed. But though I don't see it as a statistical, I see it as a statistical progression, not as a statistical reality. In that, yes, every day the probability is really low that I'm a successful comedian.
Yeah.
But if every day I choose that small possibility, I use all my energy to be that electron that lives outside the atom.
Yes.
That one day I will jump. And one day I will achieve what I want to, because I'm literally just living in that well of unlikely probability.
One day you're going to hit the refractory point and you're going to stay outside.
Exactly. And I will be the man who stares at ghosts.
Exactly. And dude, that's such a big thing about this, about like the idea of that momentum of sort of like making those choices to live in that way. And that is where I think the idea of like when you come to determinism versus free will, you have the free will to change your habits and change your perspective. You have the free will to do that at any time, no matter how, like, you know what I mean? I could quit smoking cigarettes today if I wanted to change that.
Recommend to you that I heard about from
I
Nikki
really
Glaser.
need to quit smoking cigarettes. You can hear my voice, like it's all raspy and shit.
It's kind of hot, but whatever.
I'm like that girl in high school who like smokes like 3 cigarettes like a week.
That girl always gave the best head. Just saying. Quiet pause. Reflecting on the girl who's addicted to cigs.
Yep. So yeah, there's just
Yeah, I mean, one day I woke up.
Sorry, no, I'm just thinking about
No,
that.
I'll let you wallow in that fantasy. But no, I mean, one day I just decided, like, I was always like a chubby kid. I was always getting like husky jeans and things like that. But now I'm starting to see like my abs through my stomach, because one day I just decided I'm gonna work out every day I possibly can and watch what I eat. And I lost like 15 pounds, and I'm now starting to gain weight as like muscle. And that's not to brag. That's just like, at any day you can wake up and be like, how I've been living is not how I want to live. And although it's easier because I've literally, like, sometimes the worst lifestyle is easier to live because you have a history of living it.
Yeah, it's all momentum. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion.
I just heard a podcast with Jordan Peterson. The,
JDP?
Whether to some people you might see him as a Nazi, or some people might see as a liberal cuck.
Or some of us might have his signed book on their bookshelf right next to us.
12 Rules to Life. He just released his new one, Beyond Chaos.
I gotta buy it.
Yeah. So, but I heard him say that, like, we find it. Sorry, I gotta do my Jordan B. Peterson. We find it harder to. Okay, what you have to understand is that we have to slay the dragon.
You sound like prepubescent Jordan Peterson.
I know, but he just has such a high. He has such a high octave.
You have to get that Kermit voice almost.
Welcome to my show, 12 Rules to Life.
He talks here like this about philosophy and theology.
Calgary. What you don't understand is that we have to slay the dragon that is actually our dad by cleaning up our room. but
you have to make your bed every day.
You have to.
Oh, I got Scottish there.
No, I think he's part Scott. Anyways, he has an autoimmune disorder and he's addicted to benzodiazepine, but he just
kicked that.
Yeah, through Xenon
Good for
therapy
him.
in Russia.
Xenon therapy.
I'll explain it in a second. But
please.
He said something about we fear setting goals for ourselves because then we are then accountable for achieving those goals. And I think I think it all ties back to low self-esteem. I think that's a huge like center point for people not changing is low self-esteem. I think people with higher self-esteem do a lot more things in their life because they are not afraid of difference. They're
or
not
failure.
Afraid,
or failure.
Yeah, of course
well, that's the thing. If you have nothing, I learned this from experience. If you have nothing going on that you give a shit about, like, and all you have is these sad little fucking things, you're not going to try to do anything else or try to do anything more because you're so afraid of losing what little you have. I don't want to keep snapping like that to make up for
You're Italian. You can't help it.
And you got me thinking about it now, though. And
it's all right. I know I made himself.
My game on stage is going to be so off tonight.
It's all right. That's my mom, like, speaking through me, the emotional manipulation and trying to curb your habits through, like,
stop moving your hands, you dumb wop.
No, but the idea that, like, I don't know. It's so satisfactory to do something different, something that makes you a little uncomfortable. You know, like what's Eleanor Roosevelt? She said, "Do something that you're afraid of every day."
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, her husband.
The first lesbian.
Is she a lesbian?
First lady.
Confirmed?
I mean, I don't know if it's confirmed or not. I've read some conspiracy theory things online. Like,
Oh, Mike.
I would err on the side of that. Like,
526, by the way.
all right. I mean, I'm just waiting until we hear from
You know
him
who.
when he's outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out.
Shout out to he shall not be named.
Shout out to Cliff.
Cliff Mula.
We're heading to the Christopher
Shout out.
Martin's open mic
Yes. Which has an open mic sign-ups at 7 every night on Wednesday nights.
tonight. Get there before 7.
Definitely get there before 7. Christopher Martin's in New Haven, Connecticut. But yeah, my life has changed exponentially recently because I just chose to do something difficult and different and just, I don't know, just not fucking...
But I've been so much happier since I chose that.
Yeah, man.
Like, it's contentment. It's like you take the struggles as they come and you relish in the fact that you get to do it.
Adversity yields higher self-esteem. Adversity yields like higher purpose. And
Dude, like talking to you a couple weeks ago after you got booked on that show.
Yeah.
Like the level of just like energy, you could feel it radiating off of you.
Oh yeah, man. And congrats
like,
to you, man. You got a fucking
thanks,
paid
man.
gig. We gotta come up with a secret
I know,
handshake.
yeah.
That'd be dope.
We'll get there.
That'd be so dope. We gotta create a secret
Hell
handshake.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Purpose, Nietzsche. Fucking do whatever you want to do, man. It's crazy to think that like you think that you live. It's like you drive on the highway your whole life, and then you wake up and realize there is no car. It's
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
That scene in The Matrix when he's like, there is no spoon. And that's when Neo becomes enlightened. That's life. There is no spoon. No one gives a fuck. Here's the beautiful thing
You could
about
do
life.
whatever you want, and as long as you're confident, you'll fucking do it.
The
Like,
beautiful thing about life is the indifference that most people have about you most of the time. There are very few people who actually give a fuck what you do, which you should relish in the indifference, because no one really wants you to do anything as long as you're there for them. If they're a friend, like, they want you to just do whatever the fuck you, or they don't even care what you do.
exactly.
So if you like woke up and you're like, oh, like, which is why like when people talk about like transphobia and stuff like that, people that I'm friends with, people of today, really don't give a fuck what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I've always been like,
Dude, I have a couple trans friends like who like you know, I do whatever the fuck
Yeah,
makes
man,
you
whatever
happy.
makes you
I'm
happy.
not
I'm
going
so-
to stop you or yell at you or judge you or do anything about it. At the same time, like don't like come looking for a reaction from me.
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna if I give a shit about what you're doing, I'm gonna tell you. Like
Yeah,
like and it's only really gonna be positive because if I don't like it, I'm just gonna stay the fuck away from you.
Yeah, I
Like-
do have a habit of telling people what I think, even if they don't ask. Like, I've always identified myself as like an advice giver, which sometimes gets me in hot water because they're like, I didn't ask her opinion. But like, well, fuck you, I gave it to you anyways. But in most regards, people really don't get, like, you could just wake up and start doing things differently. Like, for instance, I heard a podcast with Cal Newport, writer of The War of Art, which is a small book but is very like potent literature about how artists recapture their inspiration by doing what he calls deep focus or hard, whatever the fuck he calls it. He's some intellectual bullshit. Basically, stop distracting yourself, you fucking pussy, and start
Sit
doing
down and do it.
Yeah, like, right. Actually fucking type. I'm not gonna hit them too hard so I don't.
Yeah, this is actually a draft manuscript, so
Dude,
please
I mean,
don't.
this man's writing a book. You know what I mean?
I got
Like,
pages.
this man's got pages. He's gonna
Each of
self-publish.
these is like
And especially with
2.7 published pages.
the internet, like, we're making a podcast right now. You know, like 20 years ago, how many people would have had to go through to publish this material? But now YouTube, you can have billions of
I'm about to
hours.
find out.
You have like millions, but even like self-publishing is like so much more prevalent.
I'm not
and-
self-publishing a book. Like,
Well, that's because you've been told. We will be discussing off camera how he should be self-publishing. But I'm just saying that
I wish I could smoke cigarettes in my office.
Man,
Sorry.
dude, I wish I could smoke cigarettes and not have any health consequences. Like, I wish more vapes look like cigarettes because, like, it's just smoking cigarettes. I mean, forget what they told you in Dare or like stupid programs. Smoking cigarettes looks cool, kids.
It does. That's half the reason I do it.
It
Could you
just
hand me
looks
a
cool.
bag?
Yeah, you got it, buddy.
Thanks. I'm gonna smoke a little tobacco.
Smoke a little
tobacco.
backy. But yeah.
Thank you.
So, that's my piece on determinism. The reason I buck and reject determinism is because I relish the idea that we as humans can wake up one day, do whatever the fuck we want. Because I feel like the only reason we discover, the only reason we invent is because someone was bored enough. And I'm trying to like recapture boredom. I'm kind of hyped over boredom right now. Because I have sedated myself with digital entertainment for far too long. Whenever I feel a twinge of boredom or like I don't know what to do, I either jerk off or watch Netflix or watch Billions, which is a great show.
I had to stop doing. I had to stop. You want to know what?
Lewis.
I developed a theory about that.
Please go on.
So I realized the other day that if I came home and if I came home and I start writing, it is just tobacco, by the way. It's not like a euphemism.
Who gives a shit?
I'm just saying.
We're adults.
So
it could be cocaine for all you care. Then you just be the mayor of Toronto.
I wish. Rob Ford, rest in peace.
Is he dead?
Rest in power. Yeah.
Did he die of COVID?
No, what the fuck? He died years. I think he died a few years ago from like fucking treating his body like a dumpster and being 300 pounds. Like
it still count as a COVID death.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. He died in 2019.
Apparently Shakespeare died of COVID too.
Yeah. We are locking down the state again because Rob Ford died of COVID. No, but
Joe Biden re-shuts down America based on retroactive corona cases.
Joe Biden caught one whiff of COVID in that woman's hair and shut down the whole country.
I know kids can't catch COVID because I smell them every day.
Ever since I sent my dog home, I've had to do the
what's
sniffing.
The deal with his dogs? Just a quick aside.
He bit a Secret Service agent or some shit, and then they sent him like
Joe
home.
Biden bit a Secret
No,
Service?
yes, probably. I mean, did you see Joe Biden bite his wife's finger?
No.
There's a video of Joe Biden biting his wife's finger.
Stop. We're gonna be labeled as alt-right.
Why? It's just true. Like, dude,
That's what the tread on me people will tell you.
Also, Matt Taibbi, you know, from Rolling Stone.
Yes.
Great piece came out in some newspaper recently. I hate myself for forgetting the name.
Breitbart.
No, it's
Infowars.com.
He published an article called the Sovieticization of the American media. And Matt Taibbi's a lefty, for those of you who don't
love it.
Don't know that.
Yeah, but he's
the editor.
Lefty.
Okay, come
I don't know.
on.
I'm playing.
He's not a fucking tanky, but he's a
Cortez advocate. Okay, allow me this grace.
Fair enough.
But anyways, continue with you were saying something about, and I'm just vamping right now because I forgot what you. I distract tobacco, cocaine. Tom Ford died of COVID because he smoked crack.
It was
but before that, it was horse lesbian Roosevelt, and that's a little too far back. Now we have to continue forward. I love searching. Trains of thought are so fun.
Right.
Determinism. Be what you want. I have
it's
to
too
pee.
far back.
Anyways, you know what? Fuck it. Forget it.
No, whatever.
We'll
move on.
Yeah. Let's move on. We'll come back to it. You'll be like, oh my god, I got it. And then we'll come back to it. In the meantime, NFTs are really popping off.
NFTs.
And I want to talk about this. I'm deep into finances and
What's an
cryptocurrency.
NFT?
I love that you asked me that. Now, for those at home who haven't already heard what an NFT is, NFT stands for non-fungible token. Like a cryptocurrency, it is a blockchain linked asset. But like the name implies, it is non-fungible. Unlike a currency, it's more of a collectible.
Just like a Doge?
No. It's not
is Doge a currency?
Doge is a currency. Doge is a currency. Non-fungible tokens. You can think of them.
I love that word.
I know, right? NFTs. They also want to call them nifties. But for the sake of metaphor, it's easier to akin them to trading cards. They are rare.
Dope.
They are rare assets.
It's like a holographic Charizard.
Mm-hmm,
gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Or a blue-eyes
Deep
white
cut.
dragon.
Yeah. Wow.
Trading cards are going heavy on the market right now on eBay.
The middle of Exodia that's not Chinese.
Top Shots, NBA shit. Yeah, exactly. But NFTs are a very strange economic phenomenon because on paper it does not seem like they should work, but they do. So NFTs, like trading cards, are a rare asset that has a unique signature. Now, an example of an NFT is the Nyan Cat meme. Remember that?
Jesus fucking, you mean the Pop-Tart thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
But here's the thing.
I almost choked a kid in high school for fucking singing that once.
So here's the thing. The Nyan Cat GIF as an NFT was sold for, just guess what it was sold for.
I don't want
it. It was auctioned off for an equivalent of $600,000 in Ethereum. Here's the thing, though. My friend.
Do you know what I could have done with that? I could have made such better use of that than any one of those fucking morons.
But here's the thing, Mike, is that Even worse, I'm gonna make you rub your eyes even more because that Nyan Cat meme can still be downloaded as a GIF on any website. Any like Google image search could pull up Nyan Cat and you could download it as a .gif file. The only thing an NFT is the sole creator of this. That doesn't even have to be. It's just a rare enough form.
I've been seeing shit like this. It's like Jack Dorsey. They sold like a Jack Dorsey tweet is one of those, right?
So there's the thing. It's an NFT can be any file. It could be audio. It could be video. This whole podcast could be sold as an NFT.
Let's do it.
Auctioned off.
Starting price is $100K.
It's auctioned. Well, here's the thing.
I need to buy some land.
It's not through US dollars. All NFTs are auctioned off through blockchain. One of the most popular being the Ethereum blockchain, created by Vitalik Buterin, who is
It sounds like a medicine.
I took some Vitalik Buterin to help my cough. No, but Vitalik Buterin is a co-founder, co-creator of Ethereum as we know it. Ethereum is the most commonly known as like the cryptocurrency, but Ethereum blockchain is just think of a blockchain as like a public ledger that is constantly updated by its users, which creates a transparent verification of possession of assets within this blockchain.
I feel like if people haven't looked up what blockchain is by now, they probably don't give a shit.
I know, but it bears repeating for the definition of an NFT.
I know, I'm just being a dick.
So like Ethereum, the coin, that's the currency, an NFT is an asset within the blockchain of Ethereum, right? Or NFTs could be on any blockchain, but the most popular right now is Ethereum.
Yeah.
So the Nyan Cat GIF is sold as a token, a non-fungible token. It's an asset embedded in the blockchain. It is confirmed. So whatever that original version of Nyan Cat sold by the creator, sold for $600,000 worth of Ethereum, because if you imagine an NFT like a trading card, it's a trading card with a signature or that hologram that's rare. So the creator can choose to sell a certain amount or bid off a certain amount of those NFTs. Depending on their rarity, increases their asset price. So you could download the Nyan Cat GIF. I could download the Nyan Cat GIF. But if you buy the original NFT of the Nyan Cat, what you have is an Ethereum blockchain confirmed version of that GIF that is the version. So if you imagine like an art gallery auction, it is the most secure art gallery auction ever. It is counterintuitively the most authentic and valuable version because it can be copied over and over and over and over again, but the very truest version is embedded into the blockchain. The person can only sell and auction off these assets through the blockchain. So imagine a painting that I make and I sell on auction. Imagine that painting knows who it belongs to and will transmit a signal to an auction site to let you know at any given point that Mike owns my painting. Then Mike sells it to Silvio, and Silvio owns it. Now Silvio sells it to Ernest, and Ernest owns it. It's a painting. It's a smart painting. Ethereum has these things called smart contracts, and it knows who its true owner is. So it absolutely eliminates the potential for fraud, for counterfeit, for forgery. So you can't just sell a forgered.
I mean, that's like the big draw of blockchain in general, right?
Exactly.
Is that it's completely secure.
So these NFTs are ways that digital artists are making money off of the crypto boom. And NFTs, the beauty of NFTs, even more interesting implication of NFTs, is because you can verify the ownership across the entire blockchain. Say if you make a video game that's built into the Ethereum blockchain, you could sell a collector's item like a typewriter. So like your character in the video game could have a typewriter and you own that typewriter. No one else owns this rare version of the typewriter. Then you can take it over to another game and it's still yours. Even if your account is deleted, no one can take this typewriter away from you. It's yours. And this also goes even further in what is now digital real estate. There are video game real estate markets that are opening up. I am part of a game called Decentraland, which is an Ethereum blockchain video game that is owned by the people because it is built into the Ethereum blockchain. So everything you own is yours, verified through the Ethereum blockchain.
I love that.
And they sell off land in the game, which is a finite flat earth square of land, and you can build things on top. Well, it is. It's like Minecraft. It's a flat. It's computer. I mean, in a computer simulation, it's a flat
We got
space.
multi-levels of conspiracy here. We're cutting out the central banks. We are cutting out the round earth shills.
Yes.
You
You buy up land on these things called parcels, and each parcel is bought up with mana. Mana is their
Oh
in-game
my
currency.
god.
And you
Oh
buy
my
land.
god. Mana?
Mana buys you land.
Someone's read their fucking Old Testament.
Yep. Oh, is that what they call? I was thinking of Magic the Gathering.
I mean, I don't know, maybe, but like mana's what God gave the Israelites in the desert when they. Yeah, dude. Here's some
That makes
biblical
more
scholarship
sense,
coming
dude.
right at
Crypto
you.
was created by the Jews. That makes so much sense. Tel Aviv is the capital of tech startups. Yeah, there's actually more tech startups in Tel Aviv than like San Francisco. That is unresearched information, but I know that it is true.
Gage, you can't shave your head and start talking shit about the
Well, the
Jews.
Jews won't tell you that. No, it's true. Tel Aviv does have a lot of.
What you don't understand here is that they're bleeding in from.
No, I love the Jews. Is real or is fake?
Yeah.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
I love the Jew.
You can't talk about them in a singular.
Her.
No, but so anyway, that's what an NFT is. An NFT is a collectible that is coded into the Ethereum blockchain. And what's cool about NFTs too is it could be any file. So it could be a video, it could be music. People are selling albums. Like Kings of Leon is selling their album. Now here's another thing. Of course, with any like new technological financial advancement, there comes fraud. And so even though it is fraud proof, people are using it to defraud the government by creating an
NFT. Let's go.
Here is the scheme, right?
Tell me how to do it, Gage. Tell our listeners, guys, we want all of you to defraud the federal government because fuck the federal government.
Fuck the Fed.
Yeah.
So if I were to take this video, for instance, this episode 3 of...
That was not encouragement to do a crime, by the way. I was just
Episode 2, part
energy.
1. Episode 2, part 1 of Can We Be Friends? If I were to take this video file as an MP4 and turn it into a NFT, I could create 20 versions.
Hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically, allegedly, reportedly, non-verified.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah. Unreportedly, allegedly.
It's all on the down low.
I could make this into an NFT. I could auction it off on an Ethereum blockchain for, let's say, an equivalent of $10,000 each token. I could make 20 versions of that token, which means now I have $200,000 US dollars in value. That's created out of nowhere.
Can you do this? Are you capable of doing this?
We don't have enough listeners. Beeple is a very prolific.
How many do we need?
It's abstract. It's non-existent. It's fake. It's phony.
All right, look, we will cut you in.
But here's
share this with your friends. We'll cut you in.
Here's where the fraud comes in. So I could make 20 NFTs of this video. We could sell one and yield the profit. That's $10,000 in our pocket. Now we have $190,000 that's out and about. We donate the value of that to charity. The $190,000, we could donate the 19 tokens to charity, which is now on them to cash in. We just donated what is worth to our company as Can We Be Friends LLC, not $190,000, which we can not only count as charity donation, but we can also count as $190,000 negative.
Write-off. Holy shit.
It's a write-off of $190,000, which never existed and technically really still doesn't exist because it is such an arbitrary market.
Because it's just a copy.
But it's not even that. It's such an arbitrary market like the art market.
Wow.
Like you can make doodles and sell it for millions.
Yeah.
But you'd have to be the right artist. If you could give the rest of that to charity, you can say that you lost $190,000 in this fiscal year, and now we get to count that against our profits. So if we typically make $200K off of this podcast, we could give away 19 tokens as charity and say that we only yielded $10,000 in taxable income for this year and walk away with the rest of the branded profit that we make. And we would never do this, IRS. We would never do this, but if we did, we did it for charity.
But if we did, I'd be sticking my ass out the car window on you in my Maserati while I'm driving away, flipping you the fucking bird. Like, oh my God, that's awesome.
It is awesome. So that's why I love...
Fuck the government for thinking they get a piece of everything we make for nothing.
That's why that flag's up there.
That is exactly why that flag's up there, because they steal from every single one of us.
That's an interesting point. Now, I wouldn't be mad. I would be willing to give more than half of my income to tax if I knew it was being used properly. But that's the thing is the reason that so many people are mad at like taxable income is because we see the government use our taxes for shit like endless wars in Afghanistan to fuel the military industrial complex.
This is where my GoFundMe idea comes in. Have I told you this?
No, it is 5:45.
We have time because Cliff said he's going to be there by 6. So,
by here?
Yeah, by 6. So
I can make it another 15. Don't worry.
Yeah, here we go.
I got a strong bladder.
So I think this is a great place to close off too for this half.
Yeah, perfect.
So, all right. I think that taxation should be done through a GoFundMe model. Ideally, I'm a person who believes you shouldn't have an income tax in general. The income tax wasn't instituted until the early 1900s.
Yeah, I just learned about that too.
It was instituted through an amendment, a collection of progressive amendments in the early 1900s, where they wanted the government to do more.
Can you walk me back a little bit?
Yeah.
Take me back
to 1919,
Take
1916.
me back to the moments before we had income tax. How did the government fund itself? Through which taxation avenues did the government have access to or just the collective American wealth?
So you still had
Try not to touch the mic too much.
Oh,
just
sorry.
because
I'm just trying to keep
metal,
it facing me here.
It vibrates and shit all the time.
Gotcha.
But please tell me and the people at home, how did the American government, how did they get their money before they had income tax?
So basically, you had a taxation system with the states still pay, like I think wait a minute.
Make sure you're talking to the mic.
I'm trying to think here.
Make sure you're talking to the mic.
No, I know. Oh yeah, I'm trying to think.
Mike thinks away from mics.
I honestly don't remember. I am pretty sure
property tax. Can we say
that you had a series
business
of like
taxes?
excise taxes, like trade taxes. You had tariffs back then too. So
back when America made shit.
Exactly. Yeah. So like that would be. Is there a way to lock this in here?
I know. I'm sorry.
No,
the
you're good.
reason is because I can't tighten it without it being away from you. Is just a
What
bad
about that?
orientation.
There we go.
That works.
So
Bada boom.
so like so let me see. So yeah, so you have those kind of taxes. Property taxes are usually more at the state level. I don't know if there's federal property tax or not, to be completely honest, because I don't own any property.
But didn't we have the Fed since Hamilton? That federal.
Here's the thing.
Federal debt.
So, wait, I'm sorry. What?
Well, it wasn't Hamilton's idea of the Fed, the Treasury, that like each state would burden the collective debt of like each other state, and there was the big contention that's like, why should Kentucky bear the debt of like Connecticut?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now that it's like a federal debt or something like that.
Well, so here's the problem: is that like you used to have Hamilton wanted a central bank. Hamilton wanted a central bank institution. Jefferson did not. They got a national bank through that. However, in the early 1900s, there was an act called the Federal Reserve Act, I'm pretty sure, that basically Congress gave the power of central banking over to a private institution. And that private institution was called the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve system of banks...
The Federal Reserve is not government?
No, the Federal Reserve is a private bank that was... You know this?
This is why JFK was shot. Continue, please.
The Federal Reserve was given their... was basically given their... mandate by Congress, who decided that it was better to have this private banking institution that runs a lot of the banks throughout the world. Like a lot of the central banks of many countries are owned and operated by the same fucking banking clan, basically, that does. And this is where a lot of the like conspiracy stuff about banking comes in. But like it's true. Like you can look that up. There's like a central network of central banks that operate most of the governments in the world. The Federal Reserve System is our version of that, basically.
Is this connected to the World Bank? Like what?
So I'll get here.
Okay.
All right. So what you have, we'll work back through the history. So all right. So you establish the Federal Reserve. After that, you establish a federal income tax, like between 1913 and 1916. I think 12 or 13 was the Federal Reserve, and then between 13 and 16 was the income tax. And what that did is now the federal government has a steady stream of taxation revenue from every person simply by virtue of being alive and having to make money. Damn. And what that does is it ties everybody into the system now.
Now, at this point, did we have state income taxes? Or
some states, actually, I don't know. I don't know when the first state income tax is. That's a good question. I would imagine
in the early teens of the 19-teens.
If I had to guess, I would say that based on the way that politics happens in general in the U.S., there probably were some states that had income taxes because generally the states are labs for what ends up becoming federal policy later.
Copy that. So continue. Now, Fed income tax comes in the late 19-teens.
Yep. So then, people start paying tax on their income. And as this goes into the 40s and 50s, income tax is super high. We're talking like if you're making over like $1 million or something like that, you're being taxed like 85% of your income.
Damn.
And maybe I'm exaggerating, but like 70 at least. You know what I mean? Like they're taking most of what you make because they've determined that you don't need it. And a lot of that was because of the production that was required of World War II. Taxes go up. You know what I mean? You got to pay for this war. And that's also how FDR, because of the economic advisors he used during the Depression. So first of all, it's a complete myth that FDR's economic policies pulled us out of the Depression. FDR's economic policies likely extended the Depression.
So
and
the FDR is New Deal.
FDR's the New Deal. Yeah,
Gotcha.
the New Deal most likely extended the length of the Great Depression. If you talk to real economists and not these Keynesian jerk-offs that fucking populate most of the Federal Reserve and the Department of the Treasury, like if you talk to actual like collegiate economists and Austrians and people who understand how economics really works, like the policies of taxing and spending basically of the Great Depression, and some severe restrictions on economic freedom within the US. The government took back every ounce of gold and silver that anybody had in the country, and they centralized it all. They made it illegal to own gold, and you had to cash it in.
Some pretty it sounds like some other pretty authoritarian governments in the 40s as well, maybe in Germany, perhaps?
And you had to cash it in for this thing called the silver certificate. I've shown you this before.
Whoa.
Series 9. So it looks like a normal dollar.
It does look
but if
like
you
a
look
normal
very
dollar.
closely, and I'll show this to you before I'll bring it up to the camera. In silver, payable to the bearer on demand.
Whoa. What year is that from?
1935. You used to be able to walk into any bank with U.S. currency and say, "Give me $1 worth of silver," and because that's all currency really is. It's a little piece of paper that says in the bank somewhere there is $1 worth of silver representing this note, and that's what has value. But what ends up happening is we determine that now we have something called fiat currency.
I've heard of this. This is very popular amongst crypto communities.
Fiat currency looks a little something like this, and it says Federal Reserve Note right here.
Is that an actual dollar?
Silver certificate, Federal Reserve Note. This is from 2017.
Okay.
We don't have real money anymore.
I didn't prepare this. He just had it in the desk.
We as a collective American people have been robbed. We've been robbed of all the real tangible value assets that we are owed based on our jobs, and we've been enslaved into basically a global monetary system that takes pieces of paper that are literally worth absolutely nothing because they're the note of a private banking institution that has zero authority. I don't give a shit. It's not real.
Burn it,
this
you
is the real money.
Burn it, you libertarian.
Yeah, literally.
So here's the question then.
You cannot get $1 of silver for this anymore.
Whoa.
No.
So they really just
They fucked us. They fucked all of us because
So
nobody
now-
could fucking read.
This is like a legally binding document that
Yes.
says that it's a silver certificate in silver payable to the bearer on demand.
It means something.
And so if you brought this to a bank, you couldn't get a troy ounce of silver or whatever
No.
silver you want to get out of a
No,
dollar.
you would get nothing.
You'd get-
They'd give you 4 quarters. That's it. We got fucking
You brought this
robbed.
Chuck E. Cheese. Just
Yeah.
imagine someone
Literally.
in the year
You-
1917.
they're
they're like,
tokens. They're tokens. This is a
Oh, man.
token.
This is in the second half of this podcast because we are going to wrap up on this
Yeah.
on this manifesto that Mike has just spilled out for us. I have to
It's quite a
piss
teaser.
really bad, and we have to go to an open mic.
Oh man, I got so much fucking. I'm just gonna talk about the Federal
Piss.
Reserve
Good,
tonight at the
okay.
mic.
But
We'll come back and talk more about
This was the first half of episode 2
Yeah.
of Can We Be Friends? In the second half, I will be introducing more of my knowledge of cryptocurrency. I feel like it bears raising the idea of what cryptocurrency is.
We still have to get through the history of the
Please do.
World Bank and the IMF and how this currency came to be a fucking thing in the first place. Moving off the gold standard, all of this history builds into the reason that we basically are enslaved to a global economic system that cares nothing for us right now.
And I will respond with what crypto community has been doing to circumnavigate this federal cabal that is created
Exactly.
to fuck us out of our real value by creating intrinsic value based off of RAM and computer hardware, which if you want to think about it, because it takes like gold and silver to make semiconductors, we're getting back to the gold standard.
I never thought about that, but that's fucking savage because
But
that's
we're
really
now
true.
the gigabyte standard. It is a volatile market. Cryptocurrency is very volatile, and I would highly recommend not putting all of your value in such a libertarian rush to ideals.
But
There is value in a new path with blockchain building a new branch of internet that also distances itself from the cabal of internet owners like Facebook, Twitter, who have taken up server space.
Yep. This is the way we undermine that system. Is by
We could fuck 2 systems with 1 coin.
by all deciding that we get to take the power back of those institutions into our own hands. the federal government, the federal banking system, cryptocurrency is their greatest fear. That's why they're working so hard to create a federal version of crypto.
SEC is putting a probe into Ripple right now.
Because it's going to undermine them. If we all started using digital currency, guess what they can't do? Tax our income anymore, because they can't fucking trace it.
But we have to be careful, because there are large institutions that are trying to create cryptocurrency to weasel their way into these new revolutionary.
Use natural cryptos. Never use an institutional crypto. Never trust an institution.
We will get back to that in part 2. I have to take a piss. We have to get to our mic.
Remember, never trust the institutions. I'm Mike Massaro.
I'm Gage Morrow. We'll see you in part 2.
Thank you.
God bless this institution.